welcome back to my channel. This is Yummy Brown of Yommycrochetlogy, and today's tutorial is this Granny Hexagon that is very trendy these days and definitely a cute project that you can try, and you can do so much with this kind of project. So I have here a different kinds of Granny Hexagon. This one here is made of fine or category 2 yarn, which is a twister solid, and I just use one color. This one here is a scrap yarn, but mostly medium weight or category 4. You can definitely use one color or combine different colors if you like changing colors. In this tutorial, I will show you how to make the Granny Hexagon, and also I will show you how to change color if you prefer changing color every rows. And this is a very pretty project for beginners or anyone who likes to do some Granny Hexagon kind of projects. It is a nice startup project, and this one here, we will use this in our future tutorial or future projects that is coming to my channel. So let's proceed to the video. So I have here my Granny Hexagon, and it is starting in the middle and working in rounds. So this one here is actually using a solid twister cotton acrylic yarn, but you can definitely use different kinds of yarns. And I have 3.50mm hook. There are two ways to start a Granny Hexagon. One of them is magic circle. So this is how I started my magic circle. So place the hook in front of the yarn, twist that yarn and pull it down. Hold on to that and twist your hook again and place it in front of your yarn and wrap your yarn around the hook and pull it through. Hold on to that thing so you can form a circle. Okay, so there's the circle. And the second way to start a Granny Hexagon is a chain of 4. So make a knot, tighten the tail of your knot, and then make a chain of 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's your chain 4. So now you have to slip stitch into the very first chain that you made to form a circle. Then yarn over and pull it through to make a slip stitch. So again, there's your circle there where you will work for your Granny Hexagon. I will be using a magic circle, so chain of 2, and then into the magic circle you have to make a 2 double crochet. That's 1 and 2. So the chain 2 here is considered as a stitch, so you should have 3 stitches. And then chain of 2, again, in the magic circle, you have to make 3 double crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3. So there's your 3 double crochet. And again, chain of 2. So you will repeat the chain of 2 and 3 double crochet into your magic circle until you have 6 clusters. Clusters here refers to the 3 double crochet in the same chain or the same space. So we have 3 now, and you have to add more 3. So we're here at the end of our row 1, and take note, you have to end with a chain 2 before we slip stitch. For some reason, I didn't chain 2 here, but in your case, you have to chain 2 and then slip stitch. And you have to pull the tail of your magic circle if you're using a magic circle to close the gap in between or to make it a little bit smaller. Let's proceed to row 2. In the next 2 stitches, you have to make a slip stitch. So on top of your double crochet, this one here, make a slip stitch. And then in your chain 2 space, make another slip stitch. So your work should always begin in the chain 2 space for the next round, and then chain 2 again to bring up the yarn, and make 2 double crochet in the same chain space. So that's 1 and 2. As always, the chain 2 in the beginning is counted as a stitch. So that's your first cluster. Chain of 2, since this is the corner, and another 3 double crochet in the same chain space. So this is what the corner should look like. And then chain 1 and proceed to the next chain 2 space and put your 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then chain 2. And again another 3 double crochet in the same chain space. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you have 2 corners now. So continue the patterns until you have 6 corners. So we're here at the end, and then chain 1 and slip stitch to your chain 2 at the beginning of your row. So this is what our row 2 looks like. Now proceed to row 3. Again, slip stitch to the next stitch. And another slip stitch into your chain 2 space from the previous round. Always start your work in the chain 2 space. Now chain 2 to bring up the yarn, and 2 double crochet in the same chain space. So that's 1 cluster since chain 2 is considered as a stitch. Now chain of 2, since this is your first corner, and again another 3 double crochet in the same chain space. So when you say corner, we refer to your 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet in the same chain space. So that's corner. Chain 1, and then in your chain 1 space from the previous round, make a cluster. Cluster refers to 3 double crochet in the same chain space from the previous round. So there's your cluster. Again, chain 1 and make a corner here in the chain 2 space from the previous round. So corner means 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet in the same chain 2 space from the previous round. So that's what corner looks like. Remember, your chain 1 space from the previous round, on top of that should be a cluster, and then your chain 2 space on top of that should be a corner. So this one should be cluster since this is 1 chain space. This is corner here since this is chain 2 space, like this one here. Okay, so repeat your corner and cluster pattern until you reach at the very end of your row. So chain 1 to close this row, and slip stitch to your chain 2 at the very beginning of your row 3. So I have here a build-up of collection of this Granny Hexagon, and I use a 1 color here. This is the solid twister, so definitely using this for a future project. So this is just a preview how you will assemble this kind of granny squares. So I have here my Granny Hexagon, and this one is changing colors. Unlike this one, we only use one color, but this one here we will be changing color, and I will show you how I did it. So first is to have the first row and the second row, which is all the clusters and the corners. And this time we will start the third row and change a different color. I will use a scrap yarn, so you can definitely use a scrap yarn too if you're practicing. And I have 4mm hook. So pick up your yarn from where we slip stitch at the end of your row. And we slip stitch here in the chain to the beginning of this row, and then we will slip stitch into the top of the double crochet and into the chain space next to it. Okay, so again, every time we start our next row, it should be in the chain space. So this one, we will slip stitch into the chain 2, but before we will do that, we will make a knot into our second color. So make a knot for your second color, just a tiny knot, like so, and then insert your hook into your chain 2 space where we will start the next row, and insert your hook to your next color and pull the next color all the way to your first color. This yarn here, you have to be able to slip stitch into it using your second color. So there you go, your second color is attached. So pull the first color to tighten the yarn. So we have the pink as the first colors, and then grab your second color, in this case the denim yarn, and make sure you will bury your tail at the back, and then again continue the pattern of chain 2. Make 2 double crochet into the chain space of 2. So we're making the corner here the same pattern, it's just that we're changing color. Then chain of 2 since this is a corner, and 3 double crochet in the same chain 2 space. So again, I am trying to bury the tail here as I go. So there you go, that's your corner for your third row, and that's how we will change a color. And again, as usual, chain 1 and make a cluster into the chain space from the previous round. And cluster here means 3 double crochet in 1 chain space. So the same pattern around your Granny Hexagon, it's just that we're using a lot bigger yarn here. This is a medium white yarn, and we use 3 colors or 1 color in each row. So we're here at the end, and chain 1 and slip stitch to your chain 2 at the beginning of your row. And that's how we will change a color if we were to decide to change color in every row of our Granny Hexagon. Isn't it pretty? I really like this combination, so cute. And again, if you will change another color for the next row, you will just repeat what we did. We will slip stitch until we reach into the chain 2 space, and then from there you will grab the second or the next color that you want to use to start the next row. So that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like, and stay tuned for the projects that we will be using a Granny Hexagon. So thank you all, and I hope you have a nice weekend, and see you again sometime next week. Goodbye!
Clouds covered in gray, third coffee of the day. Almost fell asleep on Sim. I yawn at the display.